My name's True, here with my co-hosts, Time and Buminati. This is the Unregulated Podcast where we discuss the Arizona Medical Micro License and Farmers Market Act, Arizona cannabis news, happenings, and cannabis education. Before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. My name is True. I'm a local cannabis grower and connoisseur here in Arizona. I've been in the industry in and out since it started here. Next, we have Time. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm literally Time. I'm a graphic designer and home grower, and that is Boominati over there. We can't talk yet.
I'm Boominati, Ghost, the host with the most. I'm a local grower. I've been in the Arizona scene for a little bit now, both recreational, medical, a little bit of everything. So I'm all things cannabis and cannabis related.
All right. Now that we got the introductions out the way, so our first topic is going to be the Arizona Medical Micro License and Farmers Market Act. We're going to pretty much introduce it to you. And if you guys have any questions, if you read the proposed bill or not, uh, you guys can go ahead and ask questions. So basically, what it is it's a proposal to bring micro licenses here to the state of Arizona. If you're not familiar with a micro license is, it's the same as a commercial grade license, but the square footage of your canopy or your plant count will be less than what's allowed in commercial facilities. So basically, what we're looking to do is foster local entrepreneurship and bring chances to small scale growers here in the state of Arizona. Have you guys
True.
had any? Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, like, can you kind of break down like what Arizona's outline is currently? Like, why would this bill be impactful for anybody? Like, why should anybody care?
So, in my opinion, this bill will be impactful to lots of people in the state because as it stands now, Arizona's market is a recreational and dispensary market as of right now,
Right.
meaning that all the power is in the hands of the dispensary owners, not the
Right.
people cultivating and growing the medication or the brands that's supplying the dispensaries, but the dispensaries themselves
Right.
control the market. So basically, what this would do is it would allow straight to consumer
Right.
instead of having to be set on shelves for months and months and not know when it was grown,
Yeah.
technically, not know when it was packaged and handed to you. You could go to a farmer's market, a regulated farmer's market where you can talk to the person who grew this medicine. You can speak to the people who packaged it. You can see the test results and all that stuff right then and there. So
Right.
basically, in my opinion, it introduces fresher, more available medical grade cannabis to the community.
Right. Right.
Right.
Okay.
And
That's a great point, and I think that that's a big thing that's happening a lot lately. That I've heard complaints more so in the last couple of months about like dates. A couple of homies buying from the dispensary and getting really outdated product.
yeah,
And as it stands
Mhm.
right now, I don't believe that there is like a quote unquote threshold for how
so
long
there
something
is.
can sit.
So there is a threshold. The threshold is 1 year, but
1 year.
what's not stipulated is if that 1 year is from harvest date, manufacturing date, or packaging date.
Okay.
All right.
Like Justin, like 420 Justin said he got some hash from 2023 right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What's up, Prizix?
No,
What's up, Justin? What's up,
I've
Coco?
seen that with the hash too, where
Mikey?
it's like, year old dates. Now I know with the rosin, if it's stored properly, it could be good up to 2 years, 2.5. But still, if you're in a dispensary or a recreational market, you should be able to move those jars a lot quicker than a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, talking about the market, you got you got brands competing. You got these real small brands that are small batch, high quality medical cannabis competing with these big MSO brands that can push numbers and
Right.
they can do these BOGOs and have all these deals, whereas the smaller brands are limited in the deals they can do because they're limited in what they can produce. You know what
Right.
I mean? So it makes it a little hard for even the smaller dispensaries to compete with the bigger dispensaries. So when I say it's a dispensary ran industry, I don't mean all dispensaries. I mean it's an MSO ran
Right.
industry.
Yeah.
So
The monopoly mindset.
exactly. Those people who have the money to have multiple licenses, the people who have the money to have those lobbyists and all of that stuff, those are the ones who are controlling the market. And the really sad part is the people that are creating the laws for this industry and this market, most of them don't even consume cannabis.
Right. And that is a fact. A lot of these owners are in it more so for the money and the profit than the people and the plant.
So my question to the people is anybody out there that is legally growing cannabis right now, but you can't legally make a profit off of your craft. Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to make a profit off your craft and not be able to not have to look over your back, to be in a registered and licensed facility
Yeah.
and be able to give people your hard work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
It's
what I mean?
about opening up the market to small business because I think a lot of people know it's fucking insanely expensive to get in,
Yeah.
and then to hold your place while you try and make a profit.
Right.
Exactly. So the price pretty much changed now. I believe like you can rent a license for like 15,000 a month or something like
Yeah.
that. I believe now, rather than that 5 million that it was a couple years ago. But
Right.
Yeah.
still being, imagine being only being charged $8,000 a year to be able to operate legally operate a cultivation, a retail location, and a transportation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
If put
manufacturers,
to the full extent. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people I'm sure that would just want to be a nursery, would just want to be the place that you go and get your fresh medicine. Like,
Right.
but
yeah,
yeah.
that's my point exactly. So you don't even have to do everything. You can pay $1,000 and just run a nursery. You can pay
Right.
$500 and just run a delivery service. There's going to be people who want to focus solely on cultivation, but they're going to still need somebody to either partner with to have a retail location and a transportation. And if they want to, they can even have somebody get a farmers market license and they can provide specifically medication just for that farmers market. You know what I mean? So there's so many avenues with this
Yeah.
proposal. So to be able to make a living without
Yeah.
stepping on the foot of any MSO, any other
Right.
dispensary out there. Because you got to think
Well.
about it this way:
Yeah.
they're proposing 18 more licenses. So
Okay.
those if those are awarded, then what happens to the caregiver market?
Right.
Yeah, because they're all
It's
supposed to
gonna
be in
dry.
basically areas where people would otherwise not have access to a dispensary. So therefore, putting something right in the middle of where that is it a 35-mile line
Yeah.
or whatever that line is, basically, you know, puts a spot in there and you're no longer able to give your grow rights to a caregiver.
Yeah.
Exactly,
But
25-mile rule.
25
how
miles. Okay.
have y'all been seeing like I know we're talking about like the MSOs and shit, but they're starting to catch on to this whole like homegrown wave. And what I mean by that is like Ball Farms just started that grower spotlight. I don't know if y'all saw that, where like basically they're going to give you like a room to run of your genetics, and then if they'll take it to market under them, but it's like your name on the jar. I don't know how like the contract and the profits work out, but basically they're spotlighting different growers who are on the up and up. And
So
then
that
like
can,
Smirk with his whole thing of like the Kill Tony version of cultivating, there's all these kind of ideas hopping on to like the home grows and trying to give them a spotlight and a platform.
I love it all.
Yeah.
I love it
Oh,
all.
yeah.
We need as many people in the commercial industry, the licensed industry,
Right.
spotlighting as many people as they can in the non-commercial industry. I'm not going to say black market or legend. I'm just going to say non-commercial.
Right.
Imagine
Yeah.
the people like Smirk who pulled themselves up and was able to work out a deal and get their brand going. Imagine them putting spotlight on other growers that can do the same. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Yeah.
understand not wanting to do it to all home growers because again, there's definitely levels to everything. So and
Yeah.
there's levels to growing. Some people are just hobbyists. Some
Right.
people
Yeah.
have a strong desire to really help people with their medication. Some people just
Yeah.
want to grow it so they can smoke it. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with either one of them.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. AZ Stoner. Hopefully the numbers are there. Um, what I would think with the agreement like that would be it would probably be something like you produce your medication here, they're footing the bill. You're producing your medication. You might have to produce your own nutrients.
Yeah.
Um, but there might be an
Yeah.
electric agreement, something like that within the contract where the numbers work out to where that grower isn't putting the entire bill because we're
Right.
home growers for a reason because we didn't
Right.
have that money to pay for the commercial licenses. You know what I mean? So hopefully, I'd like to see one of those contracts just to read over it. But that's pretty dope. I've never heard nothing like that before.
Yeah.
What's up, Green Hat? Hope you're having a great day.
Hey.
With it.
Yeah, and again, there's so much room in this industry for everyone from
Yeah.
MSOs that have 9 to 12 licenses
Right.
to the little home grower. There's room for
Right.
everyone to make a
Right.
livable wage without people
Right.
fighting against each other. Like I
Right.
never
Yeah.
understood why commercial would fight against home grow when
Right.
home growers were the reason there are commercial facilities now.
Right.
You know what I mean? There wouldn't be
Yeah.
commercial facilities if there wasn't for home growers and guerrilla
Yeah.
growers and stuff like that. So again,
Yeah.
there's levels to it. Like we were saying on Jason's podcast, there's like Peter Piper Pizza and Little Caesars and
Right.
Domino's, Papa John's. None of them
Right.
are looking at the dude that's making
Right.
pizza in his house, selling it to his friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not looking at
Yeah.
edible mommy as, oh, she's gonna take all of our business. Because even if she does take a few customers, there's too many people in the world for her to take all of their
Yeah.
customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
No, it's that monopolistic mindset of just, anything that's being taken away is something I could be having.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
as long as you can have a more open mind about it, then
Right.
yeah.
So this is why I find it sad because a lot of these people that own the licenses or the people that are actually running the facilities for those owners have a history in cannabis and a love for cannabis, but they fight against other people in cannabis.
Right.
Like it's never really made any sense to me.
Yeah.
Exactly, like Arizona Stone
Yeah.
Brand said, 1.4 billion in 2023 in the legal market alone. That's plenty
Yeah.
of chips to spread
Well,
around to
that
everyone.
that kind of segues me into the whole thing that's going on with the CBD and hemp right now, because it's like that's crazy that
Yeah.
the attorney general came out, and it put a halt to a lot of people who are small businesses who are trying to, I don't want to say loophole the bill, but definitely try to
So
utilize it in their best interests.
technically, they're not loopholing the bill. They're using the bill to its full benefit.
Right,
What the AG is doing is using the part of Prop 207 that a majority of people didn't read. They just read recreational marijuana and was like, fuck
right,
yeah.
right.
They're taking that part because, as you know, 207 was written by dispensary owners. But
Yeah,
they took that part that said that in Arizona, we're doing it this way. It doesn't matter what the federal hemp bill says or farm bill says. We're doing it this way per Prop
right,
207.
right,
People blindly sign for that without actually reading the entire proposition. And then
right.
this is what we got. So when you have people trying to start businesses because they are indeed federally legal, you have to
Yeah,
always remember statewide can still enforce the restrictions that they put in a voter initiated ballot.
right.
And
Right.
that's
And so what is it
because
in yeah,
we
what's in
voted for it.
207?
Huh?
What's in 207 that actually gives them the right to come after the hemp?
It states that only a commercial licensed dispensary can sell any intoxicating beverages, inhalants, vapes, anything like that. Only a
Okay.
licensed dispensary can.
Gotcha.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's clear as day how it's stated.
right.
But again, when you're reading laws, you're in a belief that federal trumps state. But if you play that game, then all of these dispensaries will be closed.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
our
So it's
minimum
a
wage will be
slippery
back at
slope.
750.
Exactly. It's a slippery slope to walk down when you're fighting for your rights to this plant. Because
Yeah,
when you go to the base of it, it's all hemp.
yeah,
It's all THCA until it's lit.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I
Combustions and
mean?
conversions. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so if they actually put science to writing these bills instead of more emotion, then I
yeah,
believe that we will be further as an industry and especially as a state. We have U of A already doing research. They've been doing
right.
research for a while. Like
Yeah,
how come the ADHS isn't getting with the U of A research team and coming together with information to teach ADHS and the senators and the representatives more about cannabis? Because when we go to these hearings and stuff, they joke about it all the time. Like
yeah,
it's sad, and then they push ours to the very end. You know what I
right.
mean? So it's kind of it's hard to
Yeah.
get to get traction going when the people who are making the laws don't truly understand this plant until something happens to someone in their family and they need it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my spiel on that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
plenty of people need it, but well,
what exactly is it that we are, or what are we trying to achieve
Regarding
regarding what the unregulated podcast is?
So what we're trying to achieve as an unregulated podcast is put the word out about the Arizona cannabis industry, how it is, and
Yeah.
put the word out about the proposal that we put together, the Arizona Medical Micro License and Farmers Markets Act. The
Uh-huh.
reason I wanted to do the podcast is because you can only get so much done through Instagram, you know what I mean? And without
yeah.
people seeing a face behind what we're pushing, I don't think. I think when people see a face behind, the voice behind, the people behind what we're pushing, I believe we will get more people to understand what we're going for, to understand that it's not a money play. Because
Right.
I don't care about getting rich. Like I could have done a whole bunch of different things to get rich. If you want to get rich, cannabis isn't really the industry to go in to get rich, unless
Right.
you're already rich. You
Right.
know what I mean? So for me, as a cancer survivor and a person who uses marijuana solely for medical purposes, I feel like the love and care that I have for marijuana is passed through my meds. So I feel like other people will enjoy it. Is it the best out there? By far it's not. I would never claim that anything I do is better than anybody else's. But you know what it is better than? The bullshit that I get from the dispensary.
Right.
Why? Because
Yeah.
I actually care about the inputs I'm putting in. I know what I'm putting in my medicine. I mean, it's a big difference.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
Yeah.
For sure it is.
why would I screw up my or something? Yeah. So any other questions on the micro license or the reasoning behind unregulated podcast? I gave you the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
What's the reason why you're doing it?
I would say my main influence for this is to really bring awareness to certain, subjects that are known about but not really talked about. And I think that this is a good platform to be able to uh, give those talking points to the average consumer, because a lot of people don't see the background, all the stuff that goes on in the background with all these dispensaries, products, different trends that are going on, the political aspect of a lot of this stuff, the laws of it. It's very it's always evolving, it's always changing, and so
Yeah.
there's not too many people that really keep up with what's really going on in cannabis. It's kind of just like, people accept whatever they're given.
That part right there. That's
Yeah.
the part that irritates me the most about the community,
Yeah.
the industry, is people will complain about something, but then continue to support that exact thing that they're complaining about. Like
Right.
every day, I hear hundreds of people complaining about the meds that they got from the dispensary,
Yeah.
the dates on their harvest, the
Yeah.
quality, like there's so much stuff. Their experience going. Mainly, you hear bud tenders being uneducated.
Yeah.
My thing is,
Yeah.
yeah, that a lot of that may be true, but you know what will change it if you stop supporting it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and not everybody wants to grow their own. Not everybody wants to invest the time, the energy, the space into
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
And so that definitely would make it difficult to not go support a dispo without, you know, uh,
Right.
doing something you're not
So,
supposed to.
so
But
Right.
yeah, because a lot of times when you get these jobs now, especially if you have a higher up position in the cultivation or in a dispensary, they come with NDAs.
Yeah.
The thing is, people don't understand that if both sides of that NDA isn't followed, then that NDA is in null and void. It's no longer a legal binding
Right.
contract.
Right.
So, say for instance that your contract is terminated for no reason of yours, but they just terminated your contract. You can
Yeah.
then now speak whatever factual information without
Yeah.
slandering that place that you have,
Right.
without fear of reprisal from an NDA, because that
I'm
NDA
not
is
a
no longer
lawyer. I'm
valid.
not backing that statement.
No, it's back. I've talked to multiple lawyers, and it's backed. Trust me, I would
Yeah.
have been sued hundreds of times already. I've had fucking so many pages taken down. I would have been sued so many times already if it wasn't a fact. It's a
Right.
fact. The contract is 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 null and void.
Right.
Once they once
um,
they they breach the contract or the NDA is expired, you can speak on it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Like the places,
It.
like I told you, the place I worked at called 48 Farms. That was one of the dirtiest places I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Like you walk in and you
Yeah.
can feel the mold and shit
Yeah.
just hit your nose. You walk
Well,
in the
that.
room, you're getting attacked by thrips and aphids and shit bouncing off your head like fucking raindrops. You
Right,
know what I
and that's
mean?
that's that's a thing that a lot of common consumers or new people who are getting into the smoking scene, don't really realize that like every single facility, Arizona, California, Colorado, they all go through these ups and down waves of having to deal with different, pest management, and it's
Different
not
management in
really
general.
divulged, right? And
Yeah,
and
people who care and people who don't.
Right. I
So
saw one of the homies post up the other day, what chemicals are exchanged, like scientifically proven exchange when you combust cannabis. And it was everything from benzene to any type of carcinogen that you can think of, which of course smoking in general will cause cancer. But when you add in the molds and the bugs and everything else, you're getting different compounds.
exactly, especially when you add
Yeah.
combustion to it. So
Right.
all chemicals react differently to combustion. Again, I'm not a scientist, but I'm also not an idiot.
Right.
All chemicals react differently to combustion. I took chemistry. I mean, come on, like it's some shit is basic knowledge. Like
Yeah.
if you add vinegar and baking soda, you're gonna have a fucking chemical reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
some of it is real basic knowledge. You know that if you have mold and bug shit, bug body parts and shit in your cannabis, and when you roll it up and smoke it, there's gonna be a reaction. Do you know what that
Right.
reaction is? No.
Right.
Besides snap, crackle, pop, you don't really know what the reaction is going to be. So a lot of people consume it thinking that, hey, it's not going to do anything to me. I'm pretty sure I've eaten hella bugs before. Yes, you have eaten hella bugs before because it's okay in the American diet. But have you smoked bugs before at the
Oh,
amount that you're consuming cannabis?
Probably.
right.
At the amount that you're
Yeah.
consuming cannabis?
I
Went through enough
mean,
Reggie, I think so.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Reggie days, Reggie days. Oof. But you weren't getting that from a licensed dispensary or a licensed
No.
cultivation. That's
Right.
again.
No.
So my point still stands. Like
Oh yeah.
so, this
I
industry is
agree with
supposed to
you.
be baked. This industry is supposed to be baked. This industry is supposed to be based based like a medical industry. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
come on, like so.
Yeah.
If you take your Tylenol and your Tylenol happens to kill you because it wasn't Tylenol, it was
Right.
cyanide,
Right.
and quality control didn't do their job properly.
Right.
All those bottles of Tylenol that wherever the store was that they found that one bottle that are going to be recalled.
Right. And I think that's a good point. Is like we are as cannabis becomes more relevant, more mainstream, it is starting to step away from that medical portion of it, like you stated. But a lot of these lawmakers and politicians want to keep that regulation attached to it. But now instead of it being like, Tylenol or something like that, it's becoming more of an agricultural byproduct.
Yes,
And so it's
100%.
just how can we grow it the fastest? How can we, make sure
How
that
can
if it
we
is a bad crop, we remediate it? Go ahead.
how can we get the biggest, prettiest buds? Like
Yeah,
that's pretty much where we're at right now. But my
right.
bad, I didn't
Yeah.
even mean to interrupt you.
No,
Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. And that's what I mean is like, we're, how do I say this? We're um, like super processing weed now. It's becoming just like processed food.
Like the post
Right.
you looked at, it's becoming like Doritos and Cheetos.
Right.
Like the dude was saying, you got one
Dusted.
strain that's being sprayed and dusted and treated, with all these
Yeah.
different types of terpenes and additives to make all these exotic strains. Like if you
Right.
get a strain, if you get a strain called bubblegum and it tastes like you're chewing bubblegum, that
Right.
shit is sprayed. There's no there's no real terpene, botanical terpene, like an actual in nature terpene that tastes exactly like chewing
No,
gum. No.
Right.
I mean,
Read
what
the
is
label.
Indiana bubblegum?
Read the label. It doesn't like I have that too. It doesn't taste like bubble gum.
Oh,
It
I
tastes like
haven't had
weed.
it.
It tastes like weed. Like
Yeah.
so
I
basically I don't know
I
where
Huh.
the bubble gum came from in that cross. I'm not sure. I didn't make the cross and I'm not 100% sure.
yeah.
But the
Yeah.
phenols that
Yeah.
I have, it has like a sweet flavor that you could possibly get in a bubble gum, but it doesn't
Yeah.
taste like chewing gum. You
I
know what I
want to
mean?
say it was like 2013, 2014. I was getting this shit called it was Bubba Gum, and it was supposed to be like a Bubba Kush mixed with like some cookie shit. And that shit, it wasn't necessarily like that like bubble gum, but it did have like that bazooka terp. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Almost to the point to where you would be like, is this sprayed? Is it
So
altered?
again, there are outliers. There's outliers to every situation. There's going to be like there's what is it? Chopped cookies, fucking super booth. Like
Yeah.
there are some
Yeah.
strains that specifically taste like their shit added to it. There are
Right.
100%
Strawberry
those
cough,
strains, but
I would
Yeah.
say, is one of those
yeah,
early ones that people were
yeah,
like, is this real?
100% grape ape
Yeah.
too. Grape ape
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, if you go get, I'm not going to use that euphemism because I used it on another podcast, and I'm definitely not going to do it. But so say I go get a cup of Sprite,
Right.
and I take a drink of that cup of Sprite. When I hit the weed Sprite or dirty Sprite, I don't expect it to taste like exactly like that can of soda. You know what I mean? Like the root beer
Right.
toffee. It had
Yeah.
a nice soda terp to it, but it
Yeah.
didn't taste like root beer.
Yeah.
Well, and
You know what I mean?
some phenos, like, you have to try in order for it to change your mind on
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
stuff. Things that
Yeah.
you're just like, I didn't know that actually could happen from a plant. Like,
No, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
all right.
That's a good point too, because Cushmints for a long time, I've tried it from the dispensary numerous times and it was just something that I was like, nah. But then I finally tried it from somebody who actually cared and took the time and the love. And dude, it's probably top 10,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And to
Yeah.
answer your question, Green Hat Podcast, he said, would or do any of you dip flower in zymes? Uh, no, I never have, and I never will. I mean, you probably can, and then do another and do a water bath or something like that. But I've never
I've heard
done
of,
that.
yeah, doing a Zymes bath and then a water bath to, like, rinse it off.
Yeah.
But
But you
I
gotta
have
you gotta
sprayed
think
Dr.
of it.
Zymes.
Yeah, you got. But I spray Doctor Zymes too in veg, early veg. Anything 2 to 3 weeks out to me about to flower, I don't spray. The reason
Right.
being is
Yeah.
these are plants and they hold residuals. You're not
Right.
going in your tent every day spraying water on your plants to wash off the residuals from those chemicals. So
Right.
me having an autoimmune issue, I I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'd make myself sick from my own medication. So I
Yeah.
found that keeping a consistent watering schedule to where you're not overwatering or underwatering will help you reduce the fungus gnats, and it will
Yeah.
also help you reduce any other bugs as long as you're not bringing them in from any outside source. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's always how I consume my meds is how I consume my meds. How I grow my meds is how I grow my meds. I don't
Right.
judge another person by what they use or how they do
Yep.
their shit unless you're a commercial facility and you have the means to do it the right way.
Yeah.
If you're a home grower doing what you can with what you have, because that's all you can do. By all means, do what you need to do until you can do what you want to do.
Right.
But if you're a
Yeah,
commercial
exactly.
facility and you have the means to do it correctly, stop cutting corners. Stop using shit just because someone sent you 3 pallets of it for free. I understand it gets expensive when you're in a commercial facility. I know the overhead is outlandish, but, and just hear me out here, hear me out. If you do it
Yeah.
the right way, quality speaks for itself.
Yeah.
No one's going to
I,
turn down quality cannabis.
right. I am in agreement with you. True. Bowdy actually brought up a good point the other day about scheduling in the com facilities and how he's applied that to his own grow, and how, like, scheduling is a vital point that it takes time to learn. When to
Yep.
clone, when to top, when to flip, when to water, even.
Yeah. I
And I
teach.
think a lot of times that these facilities be on a strict time schedule. And
They
so
are.
when they run into problems, it's not, let's not solve it as quickly, or as efficiently as we can. It's more so, let's solve it as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and the reason being is because in a calm facility, every time you don't have plants under lights growing and producing, you're losing money. That's
Right.
understandable. That's why I feel like there's a need for the Medical Micro License and Farmers Market Act, because there are certain people who can't consume that type of flower.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And there,
Right.
again, I am in no way, shape, or form saying that every dispensary out here has bullshit. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that every cultivation out here produces bullshit. Because I've toured some facilities and saw greatness. I've toured some facilities and saw some shit where these people should be in prison right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense how you're getting away with putting this shit in people's bodies.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say a name with Purple Pond, but
Hell
like,
yeah, dude.
you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
accountability and a moral compass
Right.
will still get you far in business. But
Right.
as a business major, I know that business is cutthroat. It's a brutal world.
Oh,
But this is
dude, the
cannabis.
the cannabis game is probably the hardest industry.
The most cutthroat industry out there besides maybe jewelry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
it's it's but
Yeah.
why do we have to continue that? Why can't we do it the correct way? It can
Right.
easily be done. And I had a meeting with the ADA and I spoke with them and they're in agreement that the medical program in Arizona is dying.
Yeah.
I I agree. So why not give us the
Yeah.
chance? We can do it as an experimental program. Give
Right.
us 2 years. Give us 2 years with this program.
Right.
After establishment, of course, because it's going to take a little bit to establish the shit. But two
Right.
years after establishment, the first licenses are passed out. Give us that experimental time frame, and guess what? In those 2 years, you're still getting the funds, the fees for everything. You're still being paid, so the state is still making their money. It's not like they're paying
Right.
money out
Yeah.
and losing out. No, they're getting
Yeah.
paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's That's all big
Yeah.
brand. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of great brands out there that are doing things correctly. I'm not a fanboy of any brand because I've learned that all brands and all people have a past, including
Yeah.
myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you can't hold anyone or anything on a pedestal. You gotta have everything on an even path, and you'll never be disappointed. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just keeps yourself to a point where you're like, all right, that happened. Like I went to the dispensary, I was getting meds, and the company was getting the wedding cake was consistently fire. And then one day I went, and the shit was horrible dog shit.
Right.
I'm like, oh man, fuck this company. They fucking
Right.
suck. You're trash.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, because
And that's a good point too, because like you have these brands that come out with some fire, dude, some fire, and like then like out of nowhere it'll just be batch after batch of bullshit.
yeah, yeah. And again, like people say, it's a plant, it's alive, shit happens. That's
Right.
not my issue. My issue is how
Yeah.
you handle what happened. What are you gonna do about what happened? Are you going to turn that mold into gold? Or are you going to cut your losses, chop those plants, toss them, and do it right the next time?
Right.
You know, I know some people
Yeah.
can't do that. Some people can't do that. Some people are just starting out. They're
Yeah.
small. They fucked up. What do they do now?
Right.
Hey, in my opinion, me as a business owner, I'm cutting that shit and I'm taking my losses. And
Right.
again, that's me personally. That's me, my moral compass. That's
Yeah.
how I do shit.
Well, and
I
when you're only paying this much a year in order to like, have your licensing, and you know, we have to talk about where you can set up. Like, what is the smallest to the biggest kind of setup that people could run? Because I mean, at a certain point, you can afford to throw away a bad harvest if you're not getting raked over the coals.
and exactly so. I wanted to focus on canopy space rather than plant count. Because plant count seems to be a big deal to the commercial industry,
Right.
and what one person can do with 200 plants, the next person can't do. What I can
Right.
do with 12 plants, the next person might not be able to do.
Right.
I might not be able to do what that person can do with 10 plants. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I
Right.
figured you focus on canopy space and square footage for a facility. So a commercial facility can be. I ran one that was fucking 100,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a micro license facility, we're talking like 15,000 square feet at max,
Right.
And
and
that's for your whole grow,
that's
or is
where
that just
you're like,
flowering space?
no, that's where your facility.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And now what you do in flowering space, how you build out, is up to you.
Hmm.
I don't care about how many plants you have. No one should care about how many plants you have. As long as you're within compliance with the quality of your medication, the cleanliness of your facility, your business plan, your security plan, your SOPs, as long as everything is on the up and up, who cares how many plants you're growing? As long as
Right.
you're not pushing out moldy, drippy, aphid filled medication to people and calling it medication. That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I wanted the people in this program to be held at a higher standard than the commercial
Mhm.
program. Why? Because the commercial industry seems to have no standards whatsoever, in my opinion.
So, question really quick, since we're talking about, canopy and plant count and all that, is there anything in this bill for like processing, extraction,
Yeah,
anything like that?
yes, there is.
Eh,
So there's a section for production uh, of wax, rosin, any type of concentrates at 500 pounds a year.
Okay.
For a micro license, I think that's way more than enough.
Okay.
And again, these numbers aren't final. This is just proposals based on Prop 207, how those
Mhm.
hearings went, and other states, how their micro license programs and their medical programs and stuff are running now. So, in order to
Mhm.
get anything even heard or seen, you have to cite resources of other states and programs doing the same thing and being successful.
So,
Okay.
question with that, if your canopy space is so much and then your extraction or processing is only so much, would you be able to cap that off of one harvest, say? Or no, you think you would have to do a couple harvests to be at capacity?
I believe so. Again, it's what you put in is what you put out. So you can
Right.
have 1,000 pounds of flour and run it, and wash it, and only get shit what 100 to 200 pounds back.
Right.
So again, it's all based on how you set your business. We set the parameters. You base your business model and how much you're going to grow and process based on those parameters. And the
Right.
parameters are there because if they weren't there, then it would be a commercial license. And imagine paying millions of dollars for a commercial license, and then these people come in and pay $8,000, and now they can do the same thing I'm doing. You know what I
Right.
mean? There will definitely be a fight, a big conflict of interest in there. So how I tried to do it was make it to where people who are actually serious about creating a brand in business and
Hmm.
helping people
Hmm.
can do this. Anybody can apply, but if you don't have a correct business plan, security plan, if you don't have SOPs, shit to help you succeed, then your license won't be approved. Or even if it is approved, you'll lose it on compliance inspections
Yeah.
because these inspections aren't going to be like, oh, you don't have enough hand sinks in here, or there's no toilet paper in here. Oh, you got to put a soap dispenser over there. No, these inspections will be based on the cleanliness of your facility, the cleanliness of your plants, making sure that if you do have a bug problem, you have a plan in action to combat that bug problem or that mold problem, anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, so it's I want it to be set up to where there's no way possible for us to compete with the commercial market, but we can still live off of what we do.
Right.
Because fighting people with money when you have no money is an impossible battle.
Right.
We found that out with the social equity program.
Right.
But another
Yeah.
thing I wanted to touch on real quick, um, off the record, because I don't want to say the source's name because they asked me not to. So, have you heard of brands being forced to pay weekly for shelf space?
I have. I have been hearing this a lot more lately about
Hmm.
brands, or rather these dispensaries, especially in our market, charging outlandish numbers for shelf space.
Yeah.
And if that isn't extortion, I don't know what is.
I mean, imagine paying your license fee, your bills, and then go to work with a dispensary that you would think wants to have quality in their location, and they're like, nah. If you want to put your shit on my shelf, bro, top up 10K a week.
Right. Right.
Would you
And
10K a
pay
week?
that's a
a week?
real reality.
Wow.
Um,
That's real numbers. It's real numbers.
yeah.
I promised I wouldn't say a name, but those are real
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
I saw it all. These is factual. It's not hearsay. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
would you
Well,
pay?
and that's not going to keep a lot of small brands around.
My
Right.
point exactly. Would you pay 10K a week just for your stuff to be in a dispensary? That's
No.
the question.
That's impossible to keep up with.
Yeah.
You know,
Imagine you got
even
that.
even if business is booming, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
And another thing I'm hearing is because your shit is selling better than mine, I'm taking it off the shelf.
Now that one I do believe. I believe that. I believe that
Yeah.
a lot of brands, especially in our market, get blackballed.
Thomas? Excuse me, I had a little cough there, a little tickle in my throat.
But yeah, I think that a lot of the brands that are coming in, because there are a lot of should I say, bigger name brands or more infrastructure brands, more MSO brands that are coming into our market. But it's kind of weird just because of how we're set up, how they have to operate.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that, it becomes like a maybe not a contractual agreement, maybe more so like a backdoor meeting agreement of
Mhm.
we're going to allow you to have shelf space, as long as you're hitting these numbers. And the actual Arizona brands are getting pulled off of the shelf for these more quote unquote popular brands or hype brands.
Yeah. And to
Interesting.
me, and again, that's why this micro license is really big because it keeps the money in Arizona.
Right.
Like, and part of the micro license and farmer market act is certain amount of licenses will be held aside for people who will promise to put a portion of their proceeds into community outreach programs, either a center of their own where kids and youth and families can come and do whatever, or they provide money to charity for an already established
Yeah.
program. But my thing is, I'd like to have people who want to create programs because there's not enough programs. I also
Right.
want to have people who want to donate to programs like the Boys and Girls Club, which really helped me a lot growing up. And
Yeah.
it just to see how it's struggling now, it's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Everything. Everything's struggling.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yeah, yeah. Like Mikey said, any brand not being able to direct sell is fucked up, and
Yeah.
that's again
Yeah.
that shit is wild. So if you don't own a dispensary, you cannot direct sell.
Right.
You cannot direct sell. And again, so you remember the days when a quality pound was going from $3,000 to $8,000?
Yeah.
Now you can get a good pound for $500.
Easily.
Come
Easily.
on,
And that's homie making money off the pound.
you know what I mean? So
You know what I mean?
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's wild out here. The saturation, the backdooring, the fucking all of it right now, bro. It's the wild, wild west. And like a lot of these Canna Chads, these MSOs, not to say that they allow it, but it's almost like a necessary evil because what are they going to do at the end of the day with the product?
Right. Yeah.
in
Well, I've seen
a
a bunch of
medical
shit
world,
about any metric
Yeah.
kind of just turning an eye to it, turning the
Yeah.
cheek.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, Wild West. Direct sales makes taxation hard.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't because the reason it doesn't is because with direct sales, you can use a POS system that automatically sets up for taxes to be
Yeah.
taken out. You have
Right.
Clover, you have what's that, Square, you have all
Right.
kinds of these POS systems that are set up to
Right.
automatically take out state and federal taxes. So
Yeah.
taxation is actually very easy when with direct sales. It's just like so say a direct sale. Let's see. Nope, that's not direct sale because they buy from the nursery. Man, it's hard to see anything direct sell these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Direct sell is easier than running distro. You get paid faster and you get paid. It's
Yeah.
COD, cash on
Yeah. Cash
delivery
on
or cash
delivery.
before delivery. You know what
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean? And
Right.
and
And we
that's
live,
another.
it's so
That's another.
crazy.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we live right now in a fronted market. Everybody is taking fronts. Give me 30 days, give me 90 days. I'll
Give
get
me
it
never.
back to you, et cetera, et cetera. And then come time to pay, nobody has the money.
No, that
Yeah.
old saying: if you want someone to stop talking to you, let them borrow some money.
Right.
You know, what I mean, and it's
Right.
sad that
Yeah.
it's to that point in the industry, and like Mikey said, none of these dispensaries are being held accountable for making these small businesses go out of business for lack of payment. I mean, I
Right.
understand if a small business or any business goes out of business because they were underperforming or they didn't follow compliance and shit like that. But we have these big companies that don't follow compliance and they're getting more and more licenses.
Right.
Like I just read an article about the governor helping True Leads get a license. They're being sued. True Leads
For
and the
here?
government is being sued, yes, because they helped True Leads get a license after the deadline,
Yeah.
a multi-use recreational license after the deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wild.
So
That's crazy.
it's and like this big thing about the attorney general going after the CBD people and stuff like that. Like, how are you using all this power and authority to assert dominance over a federal legal market? Yet our kids and school system are getting dumber and dumber, and teachers and coaches and people are abusing these children. You're not doing anything about that.
Right.
But you want to come after these small businesses who are
Yeah.
doing something federally legal to put food on the table. Because
Right.
why? Because it's so hard to make a living and be able to do anything in today's world.
Right.
So
But
that's just further monopolizing the industry, is stopping someone from doing something that's federally legal. Because why? Not because they're harming people, no, but because you believe and your partners in the dispensary association believe that they're taking money out of your pocket.
right.
Well, they do it under the guise of saying that it's getting into the hands of children. And it's like,
Right.
And
if
you know
you're
what's
going
funny about
to,
that statement? The funniest thing about that statement is it was a commercial facility that was caught advertising to children with Santa Claus and shit like that. You have no
right.
one, bro. Kids
Bro,
aren't allowed
what
in most smoke shops. Most
what
smoke
about
shops will kick you out if you have a kid with you, unless it's an infant.
what about all
Yeah.
these spray bags, dude, that come with these toys? Like, how is that not geared to children? They all got freaking knockoff cereal, brands and mascots and all
Well,
that
they're
sort of
So
not
look,
shit.
for
How is
that
it not
look,
either.
targeted to
this
children?
that whole argument is just ridiculous because it's not just children who like cartoons. It's not
Right.
just children who like colorful things.
Right.
Come on, man. Adults love this stuff as well. I
Right.
understand that if you took
Well,
like Kid Kaloo or whatever the fuck that bald headed baby weird cartoon is, what is that
Caillou.
shit? Caillou.
Caillou.
That
Caillou.
is Caillou or Paw
Pussy ball Caillou.
Patrol
Uh,
or Little Bill or Arthur Magic School Bus. I'm aging myself, but any cartoon, actual
No, no, no.
cartoon,
That's what I mean is like it's a nostalgic thing. It's the same thing with like the Pokemon craze, a lot
right.
of a lot of these adults now have children, and that's something that they can bond over. Wrestling,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
cartoons, all of it.
look, don't smoke good, organic, healthy weed, kids, like Green Hat said. But here, take this chemically processed Happy Meal and smile.
Right,
Or
right,
Krispy Kreme, who's
Yeah.
very anti cannabis. Take this sugar filled, addicting donut and smile. Go get fat and be happy.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to
Yeah. It's
attack?
a convenient spot for people to be concerned about when there's more pressing matters on the table.
Yeah,
This is just, they say it's ending up in the hands of kids because that makes everybody's instincts flip and go,
Yeah,
oh, I
I have
absolutely,
kids.
I don't want
I
kids
have
having
kids.
weed.
Look, I got an
right.
18-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. So I know exactly what they mean when they want to say, "Oh, kids could do this and kids could do that." But guess what? Kids can get it in their household too.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
kids can get it at school because someone got it from their parents' household. Like kids can get it anywhere. How many
Yeah.
times have you seen on TV? I'm going to use a TV show as a reference. I know this has happened in real life, but I'm not going to use him as a reference because it's fucked up. Well, I use the TV shows. How many times on TV shows have you seen kids with cops as parents and they end up with some evidence that they weren't supposed to have? Or how many
Right.
times have you heard about in real life kids raiding their parents' alcohol and pharmaceutical drawers and
Yeah.
shit like that? But you
Oh
want to
yeah,
come after cannabis where no one has died from cannabis use? People have died from inhaling fucking bat guano and mold and shit like that in the cannabis industry, but no one has died from consuming cannabis.
Right.
So
yeah,
you want to come after that industry, but not after the industries that have people have literally died from.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me
This is
unless those industries
all
are
great.
fueling the fear mongering.
Right. Right. A lot of propaganda.
exactly.
But we calling it?
Yes, we're gonna call it. Next episode, we'll have a lot more interesting topics.
Hell yeah.
This is just an introductory episode to get everybody introduced to the podcast and to let everybody know that the pre-show drop is still live on ArizonaStoner.com. All
Yes,
proceeds
sir.
go to pushing the Arizona Micro License and Farmers Market Act. No proceeds go to any of the creators or the individuals involved. And the
Nope.
shirts, it 100% is going to fueling this effort to push this Micro License and Farmers Market Act. If you guys have any questions at all, you can always reach me on Instagram at truetothemovement.org or yeah, that's pretty much the only place you can reach me, or in the comment sections on Twitch or YouTube. If you have any questions about the Arizona Medical Micro License, you can also send an email to arizonamedmicro@gmail.com. Anything to say for you guys before we head out?
At I'm literally time, and that's it.
Yeah. Keep on toking. Let's keep joking, and I'll see y'all next week.
All right,
Sweet.
everybody, Purple Punch.
Catch me in the games.